Good morning, good evening, and good night. It is I, your host, Goldie Ranks, first mate of the Gold Fang crew. And today, we about to give you the news on One Piece 1102. Let's get it. Hello, it is time that we get into the final chapter of this flashback with Kuma. And without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So we start the chapter with the Bonnie pirates landing on an island. And the Marines are up in arms. They're ready. Because the Bonnie pirates have a reputation of leaving behind injured babies, children, whatever you want to call it, and old people whenever they visit/attack an island. So the Bonnie pirates are here because they've heard that Kuma is here. And the Marines are like, we got to stop them. These are the worst kind of scum, and we have to do this. Bonnie blitzes through these Marines and leaves them injured and hurt up and transforms them into various old men and young kids. We see Kuma seeing this commotion in the distance, and he knows it's Bonnie because he hears him say, "Where is he?" And he's like, I hope you understand, Bonnie. I can't see you. You have to understand. I'm glad you've grown up to be such a strong pirate, though. And he pops himself away. We cut to back on Bonnie's ship where she's upset because she wants to find her father. She is looking for Kuma. To which Gil replies, well, hey, we're already pirates. We might as well keep searching, you know? Like, no matter how long it takes, we will find Kuma. And to this, Bonnie says, well, if we're going to be taking our time and doing it slow anyway, we might as well look for Nika too, because once we find Dad, I could tell him, hey, I found Nika on this island or whatever island. And she's eating and happy, and Gil's talking to her, and he's happy because she's getting with the plan, and they have a plan now. They're going to keep looking for Kuma no matter how long it takes. And I commend her for that. You know, you got to stick to the plan. We then cut to the East Blue, where Luffy is receiving his first bounty after defeating the Arlong pirates, and he's gassed. And then we get reactions from various other people seeing Luffy's bounty. We get Sabo, who is still an amnesiac, but he's looking at it. Dragon sees it, and when he sees it, he's like, hey, I'm finna go to Logtown. And Sabo's like, why? And Dragon's like, no particular reason, but tell me who's in charge there anyway. And he says, well, that would be Captain Smoker. And we see an image of Smoker looking at the bounty picture, cigar and all. And then we cut from Smoker over to Ace on Whitebeard's ship, and he's bragging to Jinbei about Luffy's bounty. He's like, hey, Jinbei, guess whose brother this is? And Jinbei's like, what? A kid like this defeated Arlong? And Ace is like, yeah, because he's my brother. You feel me? And that's just a good moment because we get to see Luffy all grown up on his pirate adventure. We get to see Ace alive on his pirate adventure. And we get to see Sabo alive, chilling with Dragon, all in one chapter. And it's like one of the rare times we get to see them all in the same chapter, all doing what they're doing, and they're all alive. So that's wonderful. We didn't see Kuma's reaction, and he says to himself, like, wow, what a twist of fate that your child will become a pirate, Dragon. And this is all we get on this part of the chapter. So we're going to cut over to the next part, and I'm going to give y'all this breakdown, and we're going to keep it going. We cut back to Bonnie with her crew, and she's giving them their pirate rules. She's like, we only take from the bad people. We take from the bad people. We do not help people unless they really need help. And the crew's like, yeah, don't take from only the bad. Don't help. It's really funny stuff. We get another cut, and we see Bonnie applying her lipstick, and she's asking Gil for advice, and he's like, yeah, that's perfect. So that's where she gets her signature lipstick look from. And also we see where she put the little jewel under her eye, and she put it there so that Kuma would be able to recognize her. Oh, the wholesomeness. It's just so good. So this is that part of the chapter. We now cut over to Egghead Island, where Vegapunk is giving Kuma a tour, so to speak, or showing off the progress of the clone army, the pacifistas. And Kuma remarks how it's kind of weird, staring at a whole bunch of himself, and Vegapunk's like, yeah, they're progressing great. They're progressing just as well as your operation is going. These guys are progressing just as well. So we see this talk, and Vegapunk comments on how a group of rookie pirates challenged the world government. To which Kuma responds and tells Vegapunk that, hey, that's Dragon's son. And Kuma reasons that he should be able to tell Vegapunk this because he's going to give Vegapunk his memories anyway. So Vegapunk will find out this information, whether he's rooting through his memories or Kuma just tells him now. Vegapunk is indeed shocked by this, saying, wow, that's Dragon's son, and saying that, oh, it's actually kind of crazy how, this is turning out. And Kuma's like, yeah, it's really crazy how a man with rubber powers is challenging the world, just like my hero, my idol, Nika. And this is the end of that exchange in this part of the chapter, so we're going to keep it moving and go on to the next part. We now cut to the Thriller Bark incident. And Kuma is talking to these people on Thriller Bark. He's like, hey, they said they wanted all of you, but I'm sure if I come back with the head of your captain, that it'll be all good. So give up Straw Hat Luffy, and y'all can go. And everybody's like, hell no, we ain't doing that. So we see Kuma do the Ursus shock. We then see Kuma and Zoro talking. And we see the moment when Kuma takes the pain out of Luffy, and we get his perspective on it. And he says to himself, like, hey, this is a lot of pain. This might be enough to even knock me out. So, with that statement, I would like to say Zoro gas, because we've seen Kuma take pain. We've seen him extract the pain and take it at the end of every Sunday, every week. And that's a young Kuma. And this is the older Kuma saying the pain he took out of Luffy might have knocked him out. And he was fully healthy. He ain't fight nobody. So the fact that Zoro took that pain after the pain, on top of the pain he was already experiencing, and still just stood there and was like, nothing happened, gas. And Kuma agrees, because Kuma, as he's sailing away or leaving Thriller Bark, he's like, wow, he has some really exceptional friends, as I would expect from your son, Dragon. We then jump forward a little bit more, where Kuma is now outside of Sabaody. And he's getting a call from the world government, and they're telling him about the upcoming execution of Ace and the war that's coming with Whitebeard. And that all the warlords are required to be there, and if you're not there, you're forfeiting your status. And Kuma replies with, I will be there before the date. We then cut on to Sabaody, and we are getting the moments where we are introduced to the supernova, specifically Bonnie. And we see her eating the food, saying, where's my seconds, all this stuff, the same stuff that happened when we were first introduced to her. But now we're seeing that Kuma was spying on her from outside the restaurant. And he was saying, this is the last time I'm going to see you. I'm happy you've grown up to be such a strong pirate. You're so independent. He's just really expressing himself inwardly because he can't do it outwardly. Then Kuma hears a commotion coming from the human shop, where someone says, oh no, they punched the celestial dragon. This is gonna be the end. Kuma becomes curious. He pops himself over onto the roof, and what does he see when he looks down into the human shop? He sees the Straw Hat Pirates. He is shocked. He is amazed. Inwardly, he is saying, wow, you did this, Straw Hat Luffy? It's you again? And to protect a fisherman, no less? Wow. He is genuinely moved. He says nobody has done this in hundreds of years. This is an act of treason. But he is genuinely moved and impressed by the actions of Luffy. And this, my friends, is where I believe he starts to believe that Luffy is the one that will truly change the world. If he don't believe he's the one true Nika, he truly believes that Luffy is him. And I love it. We then cut forward a little more to where Kuma is separating the Straw Hats. And we get a really good inner monologue from Kuma where he apologizes to Eva and Dragon for just not saying a word to them and hoping they understand. Then he talks about Luffy and his crew and about how he believes Luffy will change the world and how his only legacy being left behind will be Bonnie and Luffy. And we get the pops, and we just see him thinking these things. And then finally he comes to Luffy, and Luffy's on the ground distraught saying he couldn't save anyone. And Kuma in his head, he's like, no, this is not that. I believe in you. I believe you will be the man to save the world, but you're not ready yet. You're not ready for the new world. This is the level you have to be at just to be here. Don't come here yet. Take your time, because I believe that you are the man that will save the world, as he pops him away. Good stuff. We then cut back to Egghead Island, where Vegapunk is having a heated discussion with Saturn, where Saturn has said he wants a self-destruct switch put inside Kuma. Vegapunk's like, why? Why do you need such a thing? Are you that afraid of Kuma? You're already the top of the hierarchy when it comes to the control. You and all the other 5 elders. So why would you need such a thing? And Saturn replies, well, what would happen if he went out of control when he's out of range of us, or something like that were to happen? Like, how would we deal with that? And he's like, this is a rhetorical question. I don't want your answer. Just do what you're told. And Vegapunk, he's still trying to find a way to save Kuma, because he doesn't want to kill Kuma. So he's like, well, if I put that in, then will you let me keep a little bit of his personality? I have a new invention. It's a personality switch. It's like trading your personality. You could turn it off and turn it on. You could go from him being himself to him being a mindless robot. Like, we could do that. To which Saturn says, no. You have your orders. His personality needs to be erased. And if you try and trick me, don't forget, I am a scientist also, and you will suffer. You and him will suffer if I find out you are trying to trick me. So, Vegapunk's hands are tied on this. Saturn just laid down the law, so to speak. And now, we are at the final part of this chapter. The most moving part of the chapter. So let's get into it. We then cut to Kuma talking with Vegapunk as he's on the operation table. And Kuma says that it's good to know that you feel that way. It's good to know that you tried. To which Vegapunk is surprised. He's like, well, you weren't supposed to hear that conversation, but thanks. And Kuma's like, jokingly, well, you are the one that gave me super hearing, so if I heard it, it's all because of you. So at this point, they start to conversate, and Kuma is listening to Vegapunk. Vegapunk's telling him, like, all right, well, today's the day. We're going to have to do this today. And it's been fun, you know. We've only been doing this together for 2 years. We've only been working together for 2 years. But these 2 years have been fun. And Kuma says, yeah, it sure has. Vegapunk starts talking to him about his first mission, which will be to go to Marineford. And they want him to program that into him so that he'll be there and fight on their side against the Whitebeard pirates. And Kuma's like, all right, cool. I understand that, but I have a request. I want you to program something else into me. After all of that, I want to go and guard the Straw Hat ship until one of them returns. And Vegapunk asks him, like, what do you see in Luffy that's making you want to do all this? Like, what is it about this Straw Hat that has you wanting to do this specific thing? Tell me. To which Kuma replies that Luffy's actions have moved him. They've touched him. They've really hit him home. And he's like, I don't know if he is Nika. I always believed that Nika might just be a myth. But I do believe that if there's anyone that's going to save and change this world for the better, as I've told Bonnie would happen countless times, I believe it is this man who will change the world. And Vegapunk responds like, wow, a revolutionary putting his hopes on a pirate. This is proof that your awkward thinking is proof of your humanity, Kuma. And Kuma's like, ha, I guess so. Vegapunk then says, hey, don't forget to push out your memories for me. We had a deal. To which Kuma is like, you're right. And he pushes out his memories into a memory bubble. And Vegapunk asks him like, hey, that doesn't erase your memories, you pushing them out of yourself? And Kuma's like, nah, it's more like a copy. But it will disappear once it's touched. And Vegapunk's like, well, don't worry about that. I've come up with a system where I can peek in there and look and monitor and analyze your memories without ever having to touch it. And it's at this point, Kuma says, I hope that my life has not been a harm or a trouble to anyone. And it's at this point we see Kuma's life in flashes. We see the moment of his birth and the happiness of his parents as they say his name. And then we see a young Kuma just in his slave garb running, huffing, moving. We see an image of Eva pop up in front of Kuma. As a young boy when he first met them, Eva and Jenny. And then we see teenage Kuma running, still moving. We didn't see Dragon and his friends, Gyogyo and the other fishermen, calling his name. And then we see older Jenny saying Kumachi when she was part of the revolutionary. We see Kuma still running. And in this image, he's slightly older in his revolutionary garb. He starts to stumble a little bit. But then we see an image of Bonnie calling him daddy. In the next image, he's standing up straighter than ever. Still running. Ugh. Then we see Vegapunk saying, I can cure her. And Kuma saying, I'm so thankful. I'm so happy. As he continues to run. We see Imogen continue to run off into the distance. And these panels of him running, oh, they look just like the Nika dance. Oh, just like the Nika dance. And man, it's so meaningful. Because he himself was a warrior of liberation. Oh, so good. We then cut to Vegapunk as he's about to pull the lever and he's crying, he's weeping tears, saying your life was not a trouble to anybody. It's your death. Your death will cause pain and trouble to everyone who's ever known you. Listen well, Kuma. You are a hero. Not just to Bonnie, but to everyone you've ever met. The tears just streaming down this man's face. You could tell this is causing him pain to do this to this good man. Man, look. We gonna get into what happens next, but I had to really focus on that part because this, like, you don't understand. This is emotional peak. Like, this is just so good. We didn't see Kuma smile his last smile. He tells Vegapunk thank you, and that there's one last thing he wants to say. And Vegapunk says, yeah, I know, as he pulls the lever. And we see images of the other scientists that work on Egghead. Sentomaru, they're all heads bowed, tears flowing. Vegapunk bawling on his knees after he pulled the switch. And we see Kuma's last words pop up over these images, and he's like, I want to thank you for everything you've done. For me and for Bonnie. And if you should see her after this, I want you to tell her happy 10th birthday. And as we see these words playing over the scenes, we get the image of Kuma fully gone from himself. Now fully a tool, a robot, a mechanism of the government. No longer smiling, eyes devoid of joy or any emotion. And then we cut to Bonnie on her knees, weeping hard, crying, as she's just taking in all the memories of her father, of the man that loved her so much he sacrificed himself. And all she can do is cry as we see the words, tell Bonnie happy 10th birthday. And thus ends the flashback of Kuma and also this chapter. I'd like to thank you for joining us today on this episode of the Slyy Report. We will be doing a retrospective of Kuma's entire life story called The Ballad of Kuma. And that will come later on this week. Once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us here at the Gold Fang crew for the Slyy Report. I have been Gold D Rangs. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join us next time here on the Slyy Report. Thank you, and have a great day.